Hello there, and welcome to another episode. Yep, the Self-Reliant Creative Process. And we're almost to the end, so let's finish strong. So let me see if I can do my part. And that is to share one more concept. It's rather philosophical in nature, but I think you're going to get it. So when I started this conversation way back when with Andy about the creative process, and Andy had already been doing a lot of art and painting and creative pursuits like that, as well as design and starting to learn how to write code and those types of things. I had already been doing body work for a long time, working on people, and we talked about how what we were doing was different, yet it seemed to be the same, but why was it the same? And I realized that when people talk to me and I listen to them, I'm listening to not just what they're saying, but I'm listening to what they're not saying. And Andy came up with this idea called soft eyes, ears, and touches. It's this very honoring way of sort of relaxing your gaze or your hearing and just allowing yourself to take in. And I realize when clients are talking to me, I want to be just relaxed and calm and comfortable, present, but I just want to take it in. It's like taking in music. How does it feel and resonate to me? And he talked about that with the artwork and how he was experiencing it and how he approached it. And several conversations later, we talked about the idea of how do we learn being present and comfortable regardless of surroundings. And that when entering a room, for example, we can look at the walls, the ceiling, and the corners where they meet. And that defines the boundaries. And that's the broad stroke of the environment. And then when we start to examine specific objects in the room, now we're talking about the midtones. And we're acknowledging the people we see, but it's not so much about staring at the walls or the floors, or the people. It's more of a soft, absorbing gaze to observe and take in everything without any single aspect overwhelming us. That's the key. Not one single thing overwhelming us. Just kind of take it all in. Soft eyes suggests a way to view and approach life with honor and detachment. And in the same way, we consider soft ears, listening to music and being able to discern all the instruments. And you notice when we first go into someone's home, don't we kind of look around to get familiarized with the environment? It's the same concept here, taking a moment to orient ourselves to new surroundings, new ideas. So attending to the environment reveals clues about what occurs there. So when you go from the large scale, the walls and the ceilings and the floors, to the small scale, the lighting and the sounds and the fixtures, you discover the little pictures emerging within the big picture. And this is a great metaphor for life. With comprehension of the big picture, the smaller pictures, how and why they fit makes sense, and we become grounded and feel safe from proceeding. And how many times has a particular environment, say a job interview setting, made us nervous and immediately we engage in conversation or action without first getting comfortable in our surroundings? This default reaction sabotages our ability to shift from being completely present to the experience and the space we're in. But with practice, we can learn to automatically adjust. It's like you open the door, you walk in, you take a moment to get comfortable with the surroundings, and then proceed. And this concept of soft eyes, ears, and touches have fundamental applications to the creative process through the ability to detach and observe. And I've explained how Andy advocates using, the broad stroke as step 1 and the midtone as step 2 and the highlight as step 3. But here he explains painting and drawing in a way that I think you'll find very interesting. They, the art teachers, always tell you to draw or paint what you see, but they never tell you how to see what you are observing. In a sense, you blur your vision, you defocus, just like detach, and you step back. You use your instrument, whatever you are working with, to capture your unique perspective. You are tuning out your logical mind so as not to judge or label what you are sensing and feeling. When you are viewing through soft eyes, your hand becomes a soft hand and your creation reflects that. Then you connect the technique with the medium you're working with. When you start a painting, you get big fat brushes. You can attack the area with a certain movement of your hand or wrist, arm, or the whole body. Lay down an area of tone with a big fat brush. Have the ability to twist the brush and move the pigment. Connect that to your soft focus with your soft eyes, and you release. Now you've laid down the foundation areas. Next are the areas of middle tone. You finish with the highlights. Highlights require a slightly different approach, a different attack with the brush, gentler. You go from painting the dark tones to the light tones. Dabble. Bring the highlights into the picture. As you are painting the light tones, the form you saw with your soft eyes creates the detail and describes the shape. Once you have done that and defocused, you now focus again. You didn't get there with logical deduction. You got there by feeling and with expression. You are expressing through your body, through a pigment, through a medium. The pigment and the medium are just recording your body's expressions. Operating under these conditions and in that state, you can be creative for long periods of time. So the pathways of the creative process offer freedom to totally explore life by using the two sides of the brain and task and vision, and process and execution, and broad strokes and midtones and highlights, the energetic model. All of these guidelines are designed to help put our knowledge and ability and desire into daily use. And we apply them to our artistic or project creation, or editing the garage, or building a business, or generally living life. And having a vision for a project, then stepping back from it, begs a question about the vision for your life. We have to understand and clearly hold the vision of our life to fully utilize the benefits of the creative process. The top performers, thinkers, and achievers, those really making a difference in this world, have a strong vision for their life. And many successful people that I have had the privilege of working with have shared with me that thinking in bigger terms got them acting on bigger terms. And almost to a person, they agree that when they're in that creative process, whatever information flows to them must be immediately acted on. So I want to leave you with a final thought here. And I'm going to propose a 3-part edit. And the first involves our physical possessions and the various clutter lying around us, suffocating us, creating inertia, and interfering with flow. There's a saying, I didn't know how messy I was till I started cleaning up. Only then do we start to recognize the ramifications, liabilities, and consequences of having all this stuff that we're not using, all these ideas that we're not doing anything with. Let's ask ourselves what we can minimize here. And how about our computer files? You think they need organizing and editing? We routinely keep old computers around because of files we might need again. We don't even know it's there anymore, but somehow it's like they might be important. And I know for myself, because I generate a lot of stuff, if I don't keep my computer files organized, I'm dead in the water. I'm done before I start. It's so, so important. And honestly, I don't know how many gigs of material I had or how many hundreds of thousands of words, but I bet you it took me at least 6 edits to go through all the stuff. Each time a little deeper, it became more obvious. And then I just got overwhelmed by it and had to give it up. And then point in time, I'd go back to it. It was one of the most arduous, difficult things I've ever done. But it was also one of the smartest things I've ever done. And cleaning out the email box and all that other stuff, you know, if you're not going to use it, just delete it, okay? The chances of what is there that might be important isn't going to be worth the hundreds of hours of going through all that business. And once you do, however you decide to do it, just keep it current best you can. Now the second edit. Let's consider the myriad projects we have, whether solely in our minds or existing in some level of completion out in the world. Are these projects still alive in you? Are you connected to them? Yes or no? If yes, make a quick recap of the project's vision right now and start an associated task list. Then go to the next project and repeat. If no, it's time to kill the creations and say bye-bye. And third, well, the third and the last one is probably the hardest heavy lifting of all. And that's editing and clearing out the space between our ears. And that involves changing our story and the narrative we have about ourselves and life for the better going forward. It's one of the best investments in ourselves we could ever make. But go gently and gradually and recognize the sense of ebb and flow, as with everything associated, not only with the creative process, but with life itself. Sometimes we live with minds so cluttered, so conflicted, so discombobulated that clear thinking becomes too rare, even before we consider the impact of technology and shortened attention spans and all the other feasance that's going on around us. So I'm here for tightening the internal load and the external by removing some dead weight and unnecessary distraction. So let's stop wasting fresh tears over old grievances. The light is in us. Darkness can cover it, but it can't extinguish it. We are free to choose, but not free from the consequences of our choices. Now, I know that's a lot of homework to give you. And I know how long a lot of that homework took me to do, and it has taken many of my clients to do. But the rewards and what is possible on the other side and the freedom of being able to spend more time in the moment, just present, because that's where the power is, that's where the juice is. That's where the creative process wants to lead us to, right now, right in this moment. And I want to thank you so much for your comments and your ideas, and for listening and participating. And I hope you always enjoy the game of life. And I wish you the best. And I have other playlists, so we can talk about a whole bunch of other subjects. Let's do that after we like and subscribe to the channel, so I can keep doing this, because I'd really like to do this. And I hope you would like me to do it as well. Thank you so much.